Hi, and welcome to the Twinbeard Business Show. From mindset to tactics, here is where you will see and meet the faces behind the business. Today, my guest is the creative genius behind Arttoart, an online platform shining the light on fantastic artists all across the country. It's been a real pleasure to watch her from afar and see the success that she's had with the business and the artists that they work with. We're going to dive into the world of art, teach you a few things, and learn a bit more about her story. So please, help me in welcoming Philippa DeMasi.
Thanks, Liam.
Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Absolute pleasure.
So we've got a bit to get through and cover, and I'm really excited. But to kick things off, could you maybe talk a bit more about who you are and a little bit of the story of Arttoart, what it's about and how it started?
Sure. Okay. Well, Arttoart, we're not a traditional gallery, or that's what I say to people, because
Yes.
I don't want to really be a gallery scene where it's really white box and, kind of scary.
Sure.
We're more about welcoming people.
And it is very welcoming here.
Thank you. Yeah, we would try to do that. But also being a home gallery, so it's our house, but we've got the gallery downstairs. We've got the dog here, and, you come off the driveway there, and it's, very welcoming. But anyway, just to get back to the story of Arttoart. So when we moved into the area 12 years ago, we had our kids went to a primary school, and at the time the families in the areas didn't have a lot of art, and it was really kind of like, if they did, it was up high and small and weird, and I just couldn't understand why they didn't have a really great art collection.
Okay.
And then when they came here, they were so impressed with the eclectic kind of mix of art that we have in our house.
Yeah.
They started asking me to recommend pieces for their home, and of which I started doing, and then it was turned into a bit of a process. So I thought maybe what I'll do is put all those great pieces onto a website, and tell them where to look, and then they can see what they like from that. So that's how the idea kind of evolved.
Fantastic.
And then it sort of just grew from there, basically. Yeah.
Well, like I said, it has been a real pleasure to watch from afar some of the success that you've had, and we'll dive into that in a moment. But just on the world of art, you're clearly passionate about it.
It's true.
We're surrounded by incredible pieces that I would love to learn a bit more about. We might get there if time permits. But for those watching, just to start with, what can you talk to on where to start when you're buying art? If you don't already have the understanding, you don't already recognise what your taste is,
Sure.
do you have a few tips on how to go about purchasing your first piece of beautiful art?
Well, a lot of people feel very scared about buying art. They feel like they're going to get it wrong.
Right.
But, well, that's correct. I mean, there is no right and wrong. I think it's basically how you feel about art. We often have a catchphrase that says fall in love with art, because I think that's a connection. I know that's what happens to me, is I see art and automatically I know if I like or don't like it.
Right.
And also I know when I love it and I can't stop thinking about it, and it just connects in a way that only art can do.
Yes.
I don't feel like there's many other things in a house that has such a strong connection as art. And I think that's why it's so hard to get really beautiful art.
Yes.
And why people find it hard to find the art that they like.
So what kind of value can it add to someone's world? Whether is it an emotional connection? Is it purely how the house looks? Like, what do you find is the real, not the pain point, but why do people buy artwork? Because I know the prices vary, and we'll touch on that in a moment. But what is it that makes people?
Well, I think a lot of people know that they need art, so they start there. They've renovated, or they've built, or they've extended, and they go, well, we've got really huge walls and we need to fill it.
Yes.
So they know that there's a need.
Yes.
But then after that, they go, okay, now that we know we need it because it looks a bit empty and white, what can we put up there? So a lot of it's personal taste.
Sure.
But I always say, buy from the heart, don't buy for the house.
Okay.
Because one day you'll move out of that house and you've still got this artwork. So you need the artwork to be something that you love.
Yes.
And that you want to live with, every day.
Yeah, definitely.
We had this lovely woman that rang us after she bought a piece, and she was nearly in tears because she was so excited about the feeling of waking up and looking at these beautiful art every day. So since then she's bought another piece. And off we go. She's so excited. She's going to paint wall colours and redecorate, and that's, I think also that's what art can do to a home.
It's amazing.
A lot of people leave it as the last thing.
Right.
Which is really frustrating, because in actual fact it nearly needs to be the first thing, because a lot of the colours can come from the artwork, like So the piece behind, there's so many colours you could pull out of that
Sure.
to put into your house. So a lot of people do everything else and
Yes.
then come to us for the art.
It should be the other way around.
Well, it's because then they want a particular size and colours and
Yes.
and everything. So, I say the best way is to expose yourself to art all the time. We have 4 pop-ups a year, and we encourage people to just come have a look. Don't worry about buying, just come and see what connects with you
Yes.
and get a better understanding about how you feel about art.
Fantastic.
So when you do go to purchase, you've got an idea.
So you've got the gallery, and we'll touch on that in a moment. You've got the website, you've got your social platforms.
Yes.
Showcasing a whole range of art. Could you talk a bit on the different types of art? It's a broad concept, I suppose.
It
We were
is.
talking about contemporary art before. Do you have an area that you focus primarily on, and what are some of the others, just from a curiosity point of view?
We do tend to focus on contemporary abstract arts,
Yes.
artworks. I think it's just something that I like to look at.
Yes.
And but we've got line drawings and still lifes and a wide range of different types of art. There's vintage posters and photographic prints and anything really, but
Bit of a mix.
bit of a mix. And I think the mix is important
'Cause
because
there'd be a mix
people
of-
want variety.
There'd be a mix of people coming through the gallery,
Correct.
visiting
Yeah.
the website. So I've always wanted to know, how do you go about finding these beautiful pieces that we see here in the gallery
Yes.
today? How do you connect with these artists? Are they reaching out to you? Are you
Yeah.
connecting with them? What's the process look like?
Basically, a bit of both. I mean, artists contact us directly. For a new artist that is thinking about going into this, they can send us in some examples of their work and their CV, and we will review it and see
Okay.
how that fits with our offering.
Yes.
And also, I'm actively always looking for artists. Scrolling through every sort of social media, everything to see who's out there and what's happening and who would fit with us.
So if there's someone, you're watching this, they're in their basement, they're out on the veranda, they're crafting a masterpiece, but
Yeah.
don't know how to
Yes.
get it
Just
to that
get in
level.
contact. That's
Get in
all.
contact.
Yeah, got to start somewhere.
You really do.
And we have, a lot of young artists. We've got established artists, full-time artists. We've got a whole wide of, different range of artists. Some have got part-time jobs, some have got full-time jobs.
Yeah.
But they're really, wanting to break into the full-time artist as well. So, just got to start.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Do you recall when you first fell in love with art? Is that something you've always had a part of you, or is it
Yeah.
something more recently that you've dived
Yeah.
into? What's
I
that
think-
look like?
I think I can remember I was just out of college and I remember buying, went to an exhibition and bought this beautiful piece of art that I loved. And it was made out of rotar.
Okay.
And it was of a wolf. It was very abstract, right? And we had to get it home that night because you had to pick up the work and take it away. It was massive. So we put it on top of the car and we put a blanket over it.
Right.
And then we got to the other end, we peeled the blanket off. And because it was rotar doesn't set, it keeps moving.
Right.
So it had all this blanket on it. And anyway, that was a very, very funny story. But I've also hung it in light. And it's now dripped. It's like fallen down. Yeah.
Wow. So it's a new piece of artwork in itself.
It's always moving.
It's got a story behind it.
It's got a story, and that's what I love. Every piece of my art that I walk past, I remember where I bought it, how it made me feel.
Yeah.
All those kind of emotions that go with buying art.
Yes.
That's really exciting.
Yes.
And they're just little stories. They're just little chapters in my life.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We were talking a bit earlier about the emotional connection to artwork. And I was asking questions along the lines of how is it valued? How is it priced?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be fair to say that it's really what the emotional connection draws you to? Like,
That's
could you
right.
talk a bit more on, I guess, why people do spend top dollar on beautiful pieces of art,
Yeah.
but they could spend in so many other ways?
Of course, absolutely.
Why artwork?
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because if you're building a house, you wouldn't think anything about spending a few $1,000s on tiles.
Very true.
But then when you go to an artwork, people go, oh, I don't know, it's a lot of money. And it's the priorities as well,
Yes,
because
it
you
is.
will move from that house
Yes.
or sell it,
Yes.
but the artwork will go with you.
Yes.
So it feels like where the importance should be is on the artwork, which is what really people see in a home.
Yes.
And it's really how you express your personality in your house.
Yes.
So
And that's really interesting because I think there's a lot of whether it's things that you have or do to express your personality.
Yeah.
Different brands that you wear, that you drive in.
Yes.
But it's very hard to find that and couple it with something that gives you that emotional stimulus.
absolutely.
That is also, I guess, maintains its value. So most
Yes.
things, you buy and you get the emotional stimulus, and you get to represent a particular brand that says who you are as a person.
Yeah.
But then very quickly the value it deteriorates.
It's true.
Whereas art seems like something that holds its value potentially, and we can talk more on that later maybe.
Yeah.
But you also get the fix of what you were describing earlier, like that lady who contacted you crying from her artwork.
Yeah. But a lot of people say, look, I'm going to spend a few thousand on a bit of. How do I know that's going to appreciate and be valuable down the track? And I said, well, it'll become valuable if you live with it all your life and love it.
Yeah.
Is that not the value you want out of a painting? I think the reselling is a really difficult area. I mean, we've got a secondary art market. Of which we sell other people's artworks that they've had and they've turned over for whatever reason. And it's to actually sell a piece is, I don't know, there's something, I'll give you, actually this is even better, I'll give you a perfect example.
Please.
My parents were big art collectors.
Okay.
And they bought a lot of very well-known artists, and they were always gum trees and landscapes, which I bloody hate.
Okay.
It's not my gig at all, right? But they can't hand it down to me. They've got them. They can't sell them, So all they've had to do is share their whole life looking at these beautiful artworks that they loved.
Yes.
So when people ask me that, I just said, as long as you love it, I think that's all that matters.
That is fantastic, and I'm careful not to dive down that rabbit hole because I feel like we could talk about that for hours. Like it really is about the experience that you're getting. I mean, even just being in this room is wonderful. So we could talk about that for hours, but we won't. Let's talk more about the pop-up galleries because I know you've got the online presence, which is fantastic. Everything's so well designed. It's very easy to use and search through different artwork to select from. But there's something about being in person, something about meeting yourself.
Yeah.
Very, very, very likable. You obviously love what you do.
Yeah.
And then something about being around other people that are exploring the world of art. Maybe they do know a bit about it, maybe they don't.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to attend a gallery of yours earlier in the year, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
What kind of work goes into that, and what can people expect?
I think they can just expect a very relaxed atmosphere. There's no pressure here. We want people to enjoy themselves and not feel overwhelmed by art. Just enjoy the experience of standing in front of something and appreciating for what it is, whatever they think it is. There's a piece of art over there that we can see, obviously.
Yeah, just trust our judgment. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. But people can see faces in that. Now, for the life of me, I can't see a face.
This colourful piece.
Correct.
Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I love that they're standing there and making an opinion about it.
Yes.
They're thinking about it, what's gone into it.
Yeah.
And so why we have the pop-ups is so people can come in and do exactly that. Just get involved with art and not have a fear that art's too scary, that they're going to get it wrong. Just, come and enjoy it because, art, I think, is just totally enjoyable.
Fantastic. And if they're lucky, they might even see this piece that we're describing. So I'm sure they're all curious right now. What this wonderful piece of
Sarah
art.
Rowe piece, yes.
Sarah Rowe, there you go. Very nice. Well, let's transition a little bit. I want to talk about your journey. So I mentioned at the top the success that you've had with the business and the artists that you work with. It's a great relationship. And again, we could go down that rabbit hole very deeply. But I want to know, I guess, what some of the challenges have been in creating this kind of environment where we are today. You've had some success.
Yes.
What's that look like for you? How many years has it been?
Yeah.
And do you have any tips for where to start, I guess?
Yeah, well, I mean, I sort of started about 6 years ago as a muse, as I was describing to you, showing other people and kind of starting to take over my life. And then a couple of years ago, we started the pop-ups, and that was a game changer because although online's great, you just can't get the sense of art online. And I've bought online before, art online, and it's always going to be better in person, easily, without a doubt. The colour's better, the texture's better, everything, the scale, but to actually walk in and at our pop-ups and see it in person is the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
As far as challenges, I think probably juggling being a mum of three is, because that doesn't go away. That's still...
I can imagine.
Even though they're at school. So really I've just got to condense everything into a very defined block of time and make sure I'm using that time as well as I can.
Yes. Do you find that maybe there's some mums watching or dads or people that are just incredibly busy? How have you found the time? Because I can't for a minute suggest I know what it's like to be a mum. But I know it's crazy. It's chaotic.
Yes.
There's a lot involved, but you've still been able to grow your passion and turn it into something.
Yeah.
Could you talk a bit more about prioritising time? Because I know that's important to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think I've always had a really strong vision of where I want to take art to art. And I've just got to always remind myself what that track is, and to be patient with the process, because we really want to establish a great brand and a great environment, and all our clientele is really growing and understanding the concept behind Arttoart, which is that art is accessible to everyone, basically. Yes. So just breathing, a lot of breathing, and a lot of time spent on the business too.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
You talked a bit about the vision. Mm-hmm. Could you talk a bit about, I guess, what that looks like? You don't have to go into higher level too much, but 5-10 years, what's the grand goal for this fantastic brand that you've created?
Well, look, I see that there's a massive change in galleries. When I started it 6 years ago, there were 50% of galleries in Melbourne had closed down.
Wow.
And there's new ones popping up over the place, and a lot of the established ones are closing it. So, to have a home environment and a gallery and the online presence, I think people understand that art moves in different directions now.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a static kind of gallery situation. It can be quite fluid.
Yes.
So I would love to take the Arttoart concept all over Australia. I'd like to pop up in different places.
Amazing.
Yeah, in country and other, go take to Sydney, Brisbane, wherever, but do this kind of thing nationally.
So if there's anyone watching that maybe lives interstate or globally that maybe wants to connect and help that brand and that vision come to life, they can reach out to you, can they?
Love that.
Very nice. Well, it seems pretty clear to me that you've really bridged this gap between people that maybe wouldn't normally be exposed to the world of art that are now.
Yes.
And it's almost like you mentioned art is changing and evolving. Do you feel like it's opened up more doors as well, not just for people that want to buy art, but even for artists that maybe wouldn't have had a way to distribute their art?
Absolutely.
And I know you're passionate about the work that you do for these fantastic creative people.
Yeah.
Could you just touch on that again, just for a bit more about how that relationship works and I guess how they can make that all happen?
Well, I think people just need to take that chance and come in, talk to me or phone or email and just, show them. It's really difficult, I think, as an artist to take that step of showing your work.
Yes.
But I guess you won't know unless you go.
Very true.
Yeah. So I just encourage people to take that leap.
Fantastic.
And, see what they can do.
I love it.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Oh, thank you.
Before we wrap things up, where can these guys find you online?
Oh, sure. Okay, so we're online at arttoart.com.au. So Insta, Facebook, Pinterest, all the social media you need to do.
Yes.
And we're in Balwyn Road, Balwyn North. So if you jump online, go to our website and subscribe to our newsletter, you'll hear about all the up-and-coming shows. So that's where they can find us.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Guys, do yourself a favour, check out their work, the website, the social handles, and if you're in the area, be sure to visit Balwyn for the next pop-up gallery. You can see the information on the website, I'm sure.
Correct.
Absolutely fantastic artwork, and it really is a world that you want to dive deep into. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay busy.